Your brain needs support, and new Ollie Brainy Chews are a delightful way to take care of your cognitive health. Made with scientifically backed ingredients like Thai ginger, L-theanine, and caffeine, Brainy Chews support healthy brain function and help you find your focus, stay chill, or get energized. Be kind to your mind and get these nootropic chews at ollie.com. That's OLLY.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This episode is brought to you by Bumble. So, you want to find someone you're compatible with, specifically someone who's ready for a serious connection, totally open to having kids in the future, is a tall, rock-climbing Libra, and loves rom-coms with vegan pizzas on Tuesdays just as much as you do. Bumble knows that you know exactly what's right for you. So whatever it is you're looking for, Bumble's features can help you find it. Date now on Bumble.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. And today I have Matt Gerlach from Los Angeles, and he's going to talk to us all about battling your mindset and earning 100K per month, these high 5-figure, 6-figure per month salary, and healing trauma. It's going to be a really interesting story and journey for the audience and very inspirational. So Matt, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, your bio is very impressive. So talk about your story and your journey, how it developed your mindset and what you do now.
Sure. It's kind of a long, you've asked a few questions there, but I'll try to get to the point here on it. So in 2017, I started my own business. I am in the baby product consulting, or I'm in the baby product business, and I started a consulting firm. And I kind of call myself an accidental entrepreneur. I wasn't really planning on doing this. The roads just kind of led here, and it wasn't too scary for me. I'd always been a really top performer at work. And once I started my own business, I didn't realize that there was a huge part of it that I was not equipped to handle. And that was about saying no and setting boundaries and valuing myself. I have always been a very hard worker ever since I was a little child. And I treated my clients, I found clients and I treated their businesses like my own. And like deep down, I knew something was wrong. I knew that I wasn't getting paid enough money. I was so stressed out. And I was making, at the time when I started the business, the first, maybe 2-3 months into it, I was already making $15,000 a month. So it wasn't bad. It was just that I was working around the clock. And I was just so stressed, and, growing a business is hard. There's a lot of problems that were happening. And, for me, I'm a salesperson, I'm a marketing person, I'm a leader. I know finance very well, but some of this compliance work and stuff, my brain just does not work that way. And it would be the first thing I would outsource if I was writing the checks of what to outsource. So I was doing all of this, and it was killing me. The stress got so bad. My blood pressure was really high. I was obsessing about my blood pressure, and eventually it landed me in the hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack, and the doctors kept me overnight. They weren't sure I wasn't having a heart attack. And I was released. I started going to the doctor and going to a few different doctors, trying to figure out what was going on. I didn't know mental health was a problem. I didn't know mental health mattered. And it sounds crazy to say that because I think about mental health all the time. It was actually, I saw an article published in Men's Health not too long ago that said, out of the 2,000 people they surveyed, 90% of them, something around there, said that mental health is as important as physical health, if not higher. I was shocked to see that because 7-8 years ago, I didn't know that. And so I started having panic attacks while driving. Things got really bad. And finally, I learned that what was happening to me was anxiety. Yeah, I'll stop there. Go ahead.
Yeah, very interesting. And what's interesting is I think in this day where we can easily find food, clothing, shelter, water, kind of these more of these you're going to see we see more mental health problems because we have our kind of all of our basic needs, but we don't have a lot of our psychological or emotional needs. So one thing is talking about is we all have trauma, and some of the highest performers I know, they're able to use their trauma either in a good or bad way to build life. So a lot of them are doing things for the wrong reason, but they're still highly successful. So talk about healing from trauma to build an abundant life.
Yeah, I love that you phrased it that way. I was using my trauma in a way that wasn't really helpful. I was very scared. My family was very responsible with money, like kind of, in my opinion, too responsible. We didn't really live for today. I mean, there was a lot of saving for worst case scenarios, and I grew up seeing my parents, my grandparents not really enjoying their lives very much,
Oh,
and saving a lot of money for the future. And it like I was really concerned about retirement, really concerned about buying a home, and I was very stressed about money, and it was really it drove me to success. I mean, it had always driven me to success, but when I started this business, like I needed to ask for more money from my clients for the
mm,
value I was bringing so I could work with less clients.
uh-huh.
And so my background, there is some childhood trauma, and I learned that I had trouble setting boundaries and advocating for my needs, particularly around men. And it made it very difficult for me to know my value, to know my worth and advocate it. And I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. I went to therapy. I was seeing an acupuncturist, and she told me about her friend who was a business coach. I never had heard of a business coach before. And I started working with her, and she completely helped me change my life. And from there, I got rid of the lower performing clients that I couldn't, that I didn't really see a fit for anymore. And then my two top clients, I negotiated an appropriate compensation package for the business that I was bringing in. It was a variable structure, and it earned me over $100,000 a month. Several of the past months, and I, made $1 million a year from this, and it all became possible from learning my value and advocating for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I love just, basically either whether you're in the you work in the corporate setting and asking for a raise, or standing up for yourself, or just I think being an entrepreneur is the best way to ensure financial freedom, because if you fail, you're either going to be fail and homeless, or you're going to succeed. So and then you kind of push yourself. Um so one thing I love this. You talked about valuing oneself and setting boundaries. And so the other question I have is with this generational trauma and families and breaking it, talk about like breaking that cycle. What is it? What do you have to do? What do you have to start? What do you have to start thinking? Kind of resources. Just curious.
Yeah, I wish there was some sort of magic bullet for it, but so I have been writing a book about this. That was a big part of my healing, honestly, was writing a book. And I'm not saying that to heal from childhood trauma, you need to write a book, but I do think it is some form of getting yourself to open up and getting these thoughts and feelings out of you and getting feedback on them. I mean, I'm a big proponent in doing this, however works for you. But I do think we do need help. I do think that, depending on the severity, depending on your ability to process your knowledge, depending on a lot of different variables, maybe help does look like working with a therapist. Maybe it looks like just talking to a friend about it who's been through it before. I mean, it could be, I do think that a lot of the work can be done independently through just journaling and learning through reading books and podcasts and just kind of getting some perspective. But I do think most of us need some sort of help from another person. One of my favorite sayings is you can't read the label on a bottle from the inside of it.
Mhm.
And I know for myself, I mean, I take feedback. I rely on feedback now more than ever. I think that the wisest people in the world are those who take feedback And you don't listen to
Mhm.
necessarily everything that you're told, but it's you use your filter and you decide what's valid for you and what's not. But it's getting this, I mean, healing is a process of getting your thoughts and feelings out and acknowledging how you feel, getting help processing it. And it just healing starts to happen. You start to realize like your behaviors and the things that you do and the things that you think that have been affected by traumas of the past or limiting beliefs. And it's a process of talking it out and learning and growing. I wish there was some magic bullet to it, but like I think one of the things is that like there's two things I think about healing that is hard for people. One, I think we don't know that we need it. I think that growing up in a family that my family did like there was a lot of love in my family, and I didn't know that the dysfunction that I had during childhood at school, there was a lot that happened to me. I was severely bullied. I didn't know that this wasn't normal, that this wasn't something I was just supposed to hide. So I think a lot of us don't know there's healing possible, but if you're feeling something, it's okay to feel that way, I mean, through my journey, I don't think there was anybody I told about my feelings, anyone I could trust, like anyone like that cared about me, that was on my side. Like none of my friends or people that I worked with like none of them said you're wrong for feeling that way. And everyone had helpful things to offer, helpful feedback. But it's a process of it. I mean, it's growing, and then part of it is forgiving. But I will tell you, for me, like one of the hardest things I've ever overcome is this perfectionism. I've been so hard on myself that I wasn't able to see it. Like it was the last like piece of my journey where like I mean, people would say like, oh, you're hard on yeah, I mean, I know, but like, don't you get mad at yourself when you say the wrong thing also? Like, don't you lie awake at night because because you didn't make that sale happen or whatever? And I learned that no, a lot of people don't. I mean, a lot of people learn to forgive themselves, and we learn tools along the way where you're measuring and celebrating progress, not perfection. Life is not linear, and you just learn to be so much kinder to yourself and others through the process. But it's a process of talking and learning and growing and adjusting, and the freedom comes, and it's quite amazing.
Yeah, I love how you said that. And it used to be like to, kind of stress, because you talk about perfectionism, and every like you think about like every scenario you have to achieve a perfect outcome, and but then you kind of take a step back and you see okay, there's good and bad in each thing, as long as you got the overall objective accomplished, which I really love. How do you know when you're healed? Like, is it like a destination, is an endpoint? Is like, oh, I went to therapy 8 times, I'm healed, or like what does it feel like? How do you know?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that, I don't like, I mean, this is something that's come up a lot in my writing recently. Like the word healing and growing seem to be more interchangeable than ever. I think healing is growing in a lot of ways. I don't think, and growth is one of my top values in life, one of my top three or four values in life. My partner and I have been together for 12 years, and I'm a realist. A lot. I mean, 50% of relationships end. I mean, and I don't think that I am exempt from that. I think that when I look at the success of our relationship, why I still love him and enjoy him, it's because he's growing with me. There's a lot of people in my life that haven't grown. Sure, there's a lot of people in all of our lives. I think that's why we move on, because you're growing, or maybe in some cases they're outgrowing you, or you're outgrowing them. But like I stopped going to therapy. I mean, for the past 20 years, I've been in therapy for like probably 80% of those. But I would say that about about a year and a half ago, I did feel that I was at a place where I was healed enough that I didn't feel therapy was important for me. I shouldn't say it's not important. I think therapy is great, and you can always go to therapy, but it's a return on investment. I do work with a few different coaches. I love reading. I also love having quiet time and downtime. So I felt like I was at a place where I didn't need a therapist, and I didn't go, and I don't think it was the wrong mistake. But I recently did start going back to a therapist, probably about 5 or 6 weeks ago. I wouldn't say I would say that I'm going back because there's a piece of me that I'm recognizing isn't healed. I'm not sure, but I don't, but it's not agitating me very much. I think like there's just things that I'm curious about that I think that I want to remember. I would say that's what I'm going back for. I just feel like there's stuff that I want to remember that I don't remember right now.
Mhm.
But I don't
Yeah.
think we ever I think that the more healed you are, the more healed you realize you aren't. None of us are perfect. I think that I have so much to learn.
It's interesting because you have one thing that I was always curious about. What is the difference between therapy and what's the difference between coaching? Because you mentioned you both, so kind of enlighten the audience.
Yeah, so this is interesting because I don't know that there is a huge difference. I mean, I think that the therapist is obviously trained, and knows a lot more about the anatomy and the biology and chemistry of the mind, although there are some coaches that's what they specialize in. I would say that I've worked with, probably five different really good therapists in my life. And the one I just started with right now is interesting because well, like I was going to a therapist like my last, like two therapists ago. I mean, he was really good. I really enjoyed working with him. But after like, I think it was about 3 years of talking to him, he never revealed anything about himself. Like I didn't know if he was like gay or straight or if he had kids. I mean, I have no idea about anything. And that was kind of a little weird for me after a while. And then my last therapist, I learned a lot about her and I didn't need to know that much. And then I mean, I always thought I wanted to have a therapist more open, and my new therapist is very much like my old one. I know nothing about him. It's like at the beginning, it's that awkward conversation, like
Yeah.
it's all on me just to do, and I think that it's more about the person is what I'm getting to. I have coaches that are I have one coach, she's a professor at NYU. She's a PhD businesswoman who's done incredible things in her professional career, and she has a lot of life experience as well. And I have my other coach that I see each week. She's about my age. She's a yoga teacher, somatic trained, and she spends a lot of effort and money on her own growth and development through masterminds, and she has a lot to bring. But I think it just really varies. I think like the advice I would have is to pick based off of the person. And as I am moving into the coaching realm and helping people with mentorship, helping people accomplish what I've accomplished in terms of this healing, I think that one thing that I'm noticing is that I've done the work that I'm trying to help somebody with. And I don't think you always have to, and I don't mean to say this to put anybody down, but I've always kind of like been interested when I see some like 28-year-old executive coach like trying to coach CEOs. I'm like, most 28-year-olds haven't been a CEO. And now that I'm working with clients like this, I'm seeing how much I can benefit them knowing that I'm trying to help them with the same transformation I am or that I've gone through. Where, if you're a therapist, I'm just making this up, but if you're a therapist and helping people overcome things that you've been through yourself, you're going to bring a level of empathy that isn't possible unless you've been through it. So,
Yeah.
but I would say coaching, it's like a little more specified, like you're going to get the coach in the area that you're looking for, general therapy.
How can people contact you and find you, follow your social media, check out your company and website and so on?
Oh, thank you so much. So my website is mattgerlach.com. The link will be in the show notes. I'm on Instagram at I am Matt Gerlach, and I'm very active on Instagram. On my website, I would really encourage anybody who's interested in private mentorship, or if you just want to talk and see if it's a fit for you, schedule a free 30-minute phone call. I would love to connect and just hear a bit about what you're going through. I mean, I have, like I said, I've been there. If anybody's feeling like they're unfulfilled and there's something nagging at them, like it's all about opening up to your feelings. And I've been through it. So I'd love to help anyone. It's my passion. So
Yeah.
thank you for asking.
Yeah. And for all the audience, let's thank Matt for coming on, and be sure to give his socials a like and follow. These will be in the show notes. And thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having